Welcome to the UYC Show, where our mission is building next generation leaders. Today we got Brent Hayden on the show. He's the next gen pastor at New Vision, and he is the field officer with Urban Youth Collaborative. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to make the best of all this situation, and I was going to try to wear this mask because my friend made it for me. It's got a little Star Wars on it, but I think I'm going to have to take it off. So props to Shell and her company for sending those masks to us, but I'm going to take it off. So it's still here, and I'm still being healthy. We got six foot distance.
Social distance.
Yeah, social distancing, but so anyway, they look really good. If you want any more information on it, let me know.
Well, good to have you back. Good to be back on the show. And to start, I wanted to know just how is your church operating in these uncertain times?
Well, we at New Vision, we've experimented a couple of different things. So I think the last 3 weeks have been quite an experiment for a lot of us, and except for people that had already invested in Zoom. Nobody really knew this was all coming, like what was going to happen for small group breakouts. And this week we're doing prayer and fasting. So every night we've got prayer happening and trying to get people online. So we've got technological issues. We got some elderly in our church that don't know how to get on Zoom. And so we're trying to send out tech help, but we can't go in their house. We had some issues with Facebook Live, with streaming, trying to do something that was like really cool, but we tried a couple things, like some interactive stuff where while we're doing Facebook Live, we had people like typing in questions. And I don't think what we realize is the lag time matters. Because if you're sitting there waiting and you're waiting for a question to come in, the other person on the other side might be waiting 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute buffer. And so it's created some things that we have to like learn how to fill kind of what's going on in the background rather than waiting for call and response. You actually have to like make the call and then go ahead and go on with your schedule or whatever you're doing and then wait for something to come through. So it's been good. We've been learning a lot, and I think a lot of good things have been happening because of it. So
nice. That's good to hear. How has youth group been in this time?
Similar situations. I think we have a lot of kids in the urban world that don't have two functioning devices that you can use if you're going to do, Jackbox TV or you're going to use Twitch or something like that. Like there's advantages and disadvantages to a lot of the platforms. And so, sometimes a household has one intelligent phone, and that's their whole family has to use that. And then they've got bandwidth problems. They don't know what else is being used in the house. If somebody's streaming something in a house, then people are falling in and falling out. So we're looking for more stable platforms. So at Urban Youth Collaborative, as well as for youth groups. So anybody that's watching this, I know we've been talking about it as a staff, but if you've got better ideas for low tech for kids that necessarily don't have an iPhone 10 or iPhone 11, but if you got people that are still rocking iPhones, 6s, 7s, 8s, that's still even better than some other phones that are out there that people are still dealing with some other stuff. So anyway, so if you got an idea or whatever, please contact us. Let us know at Urban Youth Collaborative or New Vision. We're here. We want to talk about it and stuff. So I think some of our challenges too are in discipleship. You can disciple like face to face, and obviously that's the best. We always say that, like face to face is better than texting. It's better than a voicemail. It's better than a social media ping. But without having that, like I think there's a lot of people right now going through some stuff. I got a phone call even this morning of a kid that's kind of going through a slump of depression, and he's known to have those slumps. But if he's only confined to his room, and as much as this generation loves to be connected like virtually to stuff or like on their phones or whatever on the net, that it's really a pseudo relationship in some respects. So we've got kids that got thousands of friends, and yet during this time they haven't received one phone call. And so if their only contact, I was thinking about this even driving over, if their only contact is them posting something and hoping somebody that sees it and then hoping that somebody responds to it, it's still such a minor connection point for validation, And so I was thinking coming over here, even, is there even a possibility that we can reinstitute the phone call?
Yeah.
Because if I'm sending out like a group text to say, hey, tonight we're gonna have a Zoom call, everybody bring your tablets, we're gonna play some games, we're gonna have some interaction. You still got 10 people, 8 people in the room, 10 people in the room. people can see each other, talk to each other, but as far as having like a really deep conversation, unless you go to breakouts and go into separate rooms and kind of allow them to get deeper, some of these kids just want to talk. And some of these kids, even if they don't want to talk, they need to talk. They need to say something to somebody. I can't imagine going my whole day without speaking complete sentences to somebody. And some of these kids are doing, they're just standing in their house, just on their phones, and they're playing video games. They have this unlimited, it's almost like, maybe some of you guys don't understand this, but I do. It's almost like when you first go to a buffet and like you're so excited because everything is right there. Jesse's drooling right now. I see him. And you're just so pumped. And then you get there, and the first round is great. You know, you get 2 drinks, you get 3 plates.
Stack it up tall.
Yep, you wait off on the dessert. You don't go with that right away. 2 or 3 main courses, 2 or 3 side things that you're not supposed to eat. But that only lasts for like the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe if you're happy, maybe 45 minutes if you're Jesse.
Yep.
But then after that, you're on your second or third plate. I know some of you going, that Brent, you're fat, knock it off. But for me, and then by the time I get to desserts, like the desserts look good when I came in, but they're no longer looking good, you know? And unless I can get those like little donuts, you know, that are the masalas that just came out, that had the sugar on them, that are fresh, and I put soft serve on them. My whole point is that these kids, for the first week or two, were happy to be on early spring break, and they're thinking, "Oh, I get an early Easter break, you know, whatever." And then it turned into a month, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's even better." And then they found out they don't have to go to school. Some kids are like, "Yeah, no school," but then they were told, "Oh, but you can't go outside, you can't see your friends," and it's like, oh, really? And so some kids feel like they're kind of incarcerated.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's kind of a weird thing. I know you were asking about youth groups specifically, but I just think that our kids are going through some weirdness right now, and we have to be listening to them. But we can only do that when we're talking to them. And I don't think they're going to talk in a group of people. I think that the conversation stays at like a high, low content, but high funny level. You know, but if you're going to really get somewhere, we really need to figure out some FaceTime. You know, we have an app on our phone called FaceTime, and just do one person. And I know it's easier for us to schedule our day where I can talk to 8 at the same time. But if you're really not helping the situation at all, is it really good ministry? And so anyway, interesting on people's feedback on that, like what's working, how are you overcoming the one-on-one discipleship divide? You know, it's been difficult in our house, even with our family, because we're all in different rooms. And then we try to come together for a movie or for games or something like that. But then most of our day is spent, my daughter's in her room in college, talking to all of her friends, you know, and I see her, you know, maybe an hour a day, but we're interacting around each other, you know, for like 12, 13 hours a day, but we don't see each other. So it's kind of an interesting, unique time. And I just wonder if other families are experiencing that same kind of disconnect, even within their own family. Because it was novel at first, but now the novelty is wearing off. And now it's like, this is our new normal for how long? You know? And so anyway, that's a long answer to that question. But
well, and I know too, even before there were studies that were showing that the more social media usage, the higher depression. And now with kids inside the whole day, you know, I'm sure they're using social media even more and more. So last question before we go. I wanted to know, how is UYC a campus ministry? How is it still operating when campuses are closed?
Well, I think kind of just like New Vision, we're trying to experiment on what's working, you know, and so I think when we first started, like we had a lot of these good ideas. I know we've heard Slack. I know what we talked about. We talked about yesterday Zoom. We talked about 2 or 3
Discord,
things. Mike was talking
Twitch,
about Discord, Twitch. There's a lot of good communication platforms out there. And so I think really the key is finding which one you understand as a leader, and also I would find which one your kids understand as students, because there's a learning curve for some of us. And so like I'm on Discord for video games, but I'd never thought to use it for youth group or to use it as a supplement to Slack or to Zoom or whatever, or Jackbox TV. So trying to figure out how to make it easier for kids to connect. And I know we had some of these conversations at New Vision, trying to figure out what platform do we use media to let people know about our message. You know, do we do YouTube? Do we use Facebook Live, Vimeo, whatever it is, Vimeo? Like what are we going to use? And I think there's a couple of number one things you have to ask first, and then I think like you said when we did Nate's podcast last week, or his Facebook Live, like the late lunch, like I think different people are using different platforms. So is there a better streamlined way to get the same message out on all the platforms? And if that's just a couple of clicks and a couple of setups, then I think it's worth the youth group or the youth pastor's time or the youth worker, the missionary's time to really try to figure out where their kids are. And some kids, I've got two sets of extremes on my youth group. I've got some kids whose families don't allow tech at all. And so I'm the tech. I'm the number 10 on their list for like techness, right? But then I got kids in my youth group that are so far above me that I'm a 1 and they're a 10. Yeah. And so trying to pull in to get a common denominator, when I've got some people at -10 and some people at +10. Yep. So if I'm at a 0, how do I really look for ways to connect with my -10 tech users? Yep. And how do I still stay connected to my +10 tech users? So I'm thankful for Jesse and Carmelo and my youth group staff for them to be able to have pockets of kids that they can reach out to in the different ways that make sense. Yeah. But I think all of our Urban Youth Collaborative students and also our missionaries are looking for what that right way is. And I don't think anybody was planning that school was going to be out. We were just, when this whole thing, when the school stopped, right, we all thought, okay, we're stopping for what, a week, 2 weeks, spring break, and then it turned into a month, and then it turned into the rest of the school year. Now everything's online learning. So what is the place for Urban Youth Collaborative or student-led ministries or student ministries that were empowering students to actually do Bible studies? Now it's really kind of in our hands. We've been talking about this for years, that we're going to get to a place that it's out of our hands as missionaries. Yeah. And it's really up to the students to actually shepherd their own schools. And so we're kind of seeing if our training has been working, which is scary because we weren't ready for this. It's not like training wheels where you're on the bike and you're telling your kid, okay, I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go. Okay, we're taking the training wheels off. Don't let go of me, Dad. Don't let me go, and you're pushing a kid down the street. So pretty soon here we are and we're just sitting there, training wheels, the kid's driving, I'm holding, and all of a sudden then I just disappear and there's no training wheels are gone and the kid's just going, what the heck? Like this is the Twilight Zone. So I think for some of us and so even some of our students, we're kind of figuring out if this happens this way for an indefinite period of time, what are we going to do? How are we going to minister? How are we going to serve? Who's going to step up? Which of our digital natives and our digital geniuses in our youth groups, which ones are going to actually start to carry the water? Yeah. Because right now, I'm still asking my kids to come join a Slack call. And like I said, that novelty is wearing off, but I would really like it for my kids to actually do their own calls and just say, hey, I have this available for you. Like you call me when you want to talk to your friends. And if you want to Slack like your friends, not even youth group, but just like get your friends on a Slack call together. Let's do it. You want to play games with people? You make a game party and then I'll just host it. And then and so what an opportunity for us to be in the lives of kids that we've met, maybe number 1, never met. Yeah. Number 2, have never been to youth group. Number 3, don't even go to the schools that we minister at. So I think those are all kind of interesting paradigms. So anyway, UIC staff, please chime in too. Put messages and comments. As we do this, I think we're trying to do this once a week, possibly, but we want to be able to get you here and talking about those things. And maybe there's even somebody out there going, hey, I got something to add to that conversation. And since we're not in a way that we can like interact in a live way right now, maybe we can get to that point, but please let us know, contact us. We'd like to get you sitting here so we can ask you some questions. And I would just like to say, if you are a guru that's figuring this stuff out and that you think you've got something, people need to know. Churches need to know. Youth groups need to know. There are people killing the game right now. So I've been hearing a couple of fun things like the little home scavenger hunt things where people are running around the house getting stuff. Make sure their parents know what's going on so you don't just have kids running around looking for a cup of flour. But I think there's some really cool, fun things that if once a week we're getting kids interacting at some level. And then once again, I would say to all of our staff, call people, FaceTime them with just one-on-one. Make it like discipleship. Like you can't disciple in a group. It really needs to be relational. And the closest thing that we have right now is like just one-on-one. Yeah. So anyway, that's my encouragement for that. Anyway, I had a couple things, Chris, just when I was driving over here. And there's a couple podcasts that I listen to. Mm-hmm. And one of them that I always appreciate is Ben Shapiro. And at the end of Ben Shapiro's podcast, after the content is done, he always says, time for one thing that I like and one thing that I hate. And I was like, well, I can't bite that. So I need to find it. I need to find something else. So my category was called What If? So just to ask you guys some questions and get you guys thinking about some stuff. What if? The first question that I had was this: what if you could go outside right now and you could do anything? What would you want to do? Comment it, put it in the comments. Let us know what it is, the one thing that you'd want to do. Even if it was reopening Disneyland and making that happen, like if you wanted to make that happen, what is one thing that you could do if you could do anything right now?
Nice.
Second question that I had was this: what if you had to live like this for 1 year? Because I think we made decisions based upon it being a month, being a week, being 2 weeks, being whatever. What if this had to be our new normal for a year? What would you change that you're doing in your life right now? What would you change knowing that this is a marathon, not a sprint? So those are kind of one's a fun question, one's a deeper question.
Yeah.
And then this one is actually kind of goes to our third question that you already asked me. What if school ministry is permanently changed because of this? This is something I've been thinking about for a minute. What if the school uses this as an opportunity to get all clubs on campus suspended? Like, what if school starts back up and no clubs are allowed to meet? What if they practice social distancing in the fall and they spread the classroom out a little bit and cut down class sizes, get some more cubicles, and say no extracurricular? What if they don't allow sports to come back into the equation? How much of our ministry is around our sports ministries, our extracurriculars, the people that we're around? If we couldn't do a lunch club, what are we going to do? I think that's valuable for us to start thinking about that right now. The Bible says that we make plans, but God has to direct our steps. And I think if we're not making plans and we're not making moves, then it's harder to adjust when those things come. I think in the Old Testament, when who was it? They're building the wall, and when he went to the king and his face was downtrodden, right? And he said, hey, the king asked, why do you look like this? And he's like, well, I'm just hurting for my people, and I'm hurting for my nation. I'm hurting for this. And the king asked, well, what can I do for you? But since he had already been praying and fasting, and since he had already been on his face before God, he already had a list. And so when the king said, what can I do for you? He's like, well, great king, now that you've told me that, let me show you my list.
Nice.
And so I really just want to challenge us today, just as believers, have a list. Have a list of what God wants to do during this time. And then the things that you can do better at this time. I'm eating healthier. I'm exercising more. I'm sleeping better. I'm still getting more Netflix in than I need to, but I'm just saying, it's an interesting time.
Yeah.
I'm going on walks with my family. I've never in my consistent history as a dad and a husband gone on so many walks with my family. And we wear gloves and our masks, and we're 6 feet apart. We look like little ducklings, walking in a row. But it's been nice. I haven't walked 2 or 3 miles in a long time, just for fun, or walked to my church from my house, which is doable.
Yeah.
It's only 2 miles. Why do I drive anywhere? And so I think there's some things that I just need to think about, what will this look like on the other side of this?
Yeah.
And those are some things that I kind of hope that I hold on to. So anyway, I'm not trying to ramble, but I just thought that those were some
That's good stuff.
Those are some good ideas that I was having. And I hope that if you got good ideas, post those in the comments as well. We'd like to be able to interact with you and talk to you about that as well.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
Anyway.
I would add too, for our UYC staff, we're staying connected to our student leaders. That's, the bread and butter of student ministry, the student leaders who start all the clubs. We're staying connected to the church partners and to the campus allies, those who work with us on campus. And so if you are one of those and we're not connected to you, we would love for you to reach out to us so we can get that reconnection after the storm that hit, that kind of lost some connections for us. So thanks for listening to the UYC show. Make sure you turn on notifications for this show. It's going to be on podcasts on YouTube for now, maybe more as we go. And we'd love for you to visit our website, uyc.org. And if you have any questions, you can email them to us at podcast@uyc.org. And have a great day, and God bless. Love you.
Woohoo! First video.